The MLA citation system, like Chicago Style or APA, was developed as a way for academic writers to give credit to the research sources they use in academic papers, without crowding their main text with publishing information. Instead, information about those sources is moved to a back page called the Works Cited page, and a code guides the reader there to find more information about the desired source. Note that the Works Cited page is not a reference or bibliography page. The Works Cited page contains only works that have been cited in your text. There are three parts to MLA citation: the signal phrase, the in-text citation, and the Works Cited page. A comprehensive signal phrase establishes our citation code and is composed of three parts: the source's full name, title, or relevant job title, and a brief bit of biography that illustrates why this expert is worth listening to about our subject. In MLA, we focus on the human being behind the scholarship, so our code focuses on the author's name. That is the most important piece of information in MLA citation. We then follow the author's name to the in-text citation, which also includes the page number for quotes or information we paraphrased in our paper. From there, the code leads us to the Works Cited page, where once again we search for the author's name for publishing information about the source. A note about the in-text citation: it appears at the end of paraphrased or quoted material we have used from an expert source in our paper. If we have an entire paragraph devoted to one expert, we typically begin the paragraph with a signal phrase and then end the paragraph with an in-text citation. If we use several sources in one paragraph, we begin each source's section of the paragraph with a signal phrase and place an in-text citation at the end of that source's specific quote or paraphrase. The appearance of an in-text citation is unmistakable in MLA. It consists of parentheses followed by a period. We place the period outside of the parentheses to show clearly that this in-text citation belongs to the preceding information and not the next sentence. At this point, we need to review what MLA refers to as large containers and small containers. This information is useful in easily knowing how to punctuate the titles of sources with either italics or quotation marks. Books are considered large containers or works because they are made up of many pieces: a contents page, a copyright page, separate chapters or essays or poems, an index, illustrations, or appendices. Newspapers are also large works, as well as journals, music albums, websites, television shows, and plays. They all contain smaller pieces, and we italicize larger works. Note that most professors do not want to see underlines used instead of italics in your papers. Underlines harken back to the days of typewriters and should only be used when handwriting. A chapter or essay from a book is a smaller container or work because it fits inside a larger work. Similarly, a cartoon or column from a newspaper, an article from a magazine, an ad, a web page, a television episode, or an act from a play are considered smaller works. We put quotation marks around smaller works. Back to citation, MLA follows a definite hierarchy of information when it comes to citation. In almost every entry on your Works Cited page, first comes the author's name, then the title of the smaller work, and then the title of the larger work. The author's name is the most important piece of information. However, if it is not available, I advise that you do not use an organization or the word staff. Instead, default to the smaller work. This may contradict what you've been taught about MLA version 8. However, many humanities professors I've spoken with object to organizations or businesses being viewed as human beings. Authors are human beings. Therefore, if there is no author, default to the smaller work in quotation marks. The rest of the hierarchy of information you need for citing your sources is provided on our Works Cited help sheet. Please use that sheet to make certain your citation is thorough. As with everything in the English language, exceptions to the rule exist. As already suggested, you may find a source to use that does not contain an author's name. For instance, you may find a web page from a university or credible organization that you want to use in your paper, but you can't find an author's name for that page. In that case, we skip the author's name and default to the title of the smaller work, the web page, and we surround the title with quotation marks. We start our code by using the title in the signal phrase, then putting the title in the in-text citation, and then ending with the title on the Works Cited page. Note that the quotation marks are permanently attached to that title and move with it wherever that title goes. Also note that if the title gets too long, remember we're trying not to glomp up the text in our paper. We can abbreviate the title. The ellipsis ... indicates where we have omitted words from the title. Do not, however, use ellipsis or abbreviations on your Works Cited page. There you must spell out all information. To conclude this review, here are a few details to keep in mind. No matter how many authors you have on a research source, always start with the first author's last name, comma, first name. Other authors who follow are written as first name, last name. Also, you must spell out all authors' names on the Works Cited page. In your in-text citation, where you are trying to be as brief as possible, you can abbreviate to just the first author's last name, but you must follow that with the Latin expression et al., which roughly means and more. Also remember that your Works Cited page is typed with a hanging indent, meaning that the first line of an entry meets the page margin, but all subsequent lines are indented half an inch. In addition, the entries are alphabetized. Here you see that Sachs comes before Underhill, which comes before Zim. This helps your reader find the specific work she or he wants to check into. Next, we'll review a discourse community's verbal and nonverbal language and our class terminology.